Hello, everyone, and welcome to Push the Point, episode 5.
Tripp,
No,
we
stop
don't
it.
do intros.
Stop it.
This mat that you've kindly traded with me, Simon, is literally awesome. The Celestial Cataclysm. And oh, look at this. This guy's put all his mats in a bloody sleeve.
Everyone's got a Celestial Cataclysm map, apart from me.
I don't know who I've become. I'm not sure I like it, but I bought some top loaders for mats, and now I'm that person.
Do you not
You
find
are
they're
that
too
person.
slippy? Oh, you put your cards on them, they just like
No, he's
slip
not-
all over them.
He's not putting his cards on
No,
them.
No,
I don't use the top loaders on the mats that I play on. That would be silly. I just use it on the ones I want to keep to the side so I can look at them.
What is your plan? What
I've got one.
now
I
that
don't
you've
really know.
made them conveniently harder to store? What is your plan with them?
Yeah, I don't really know. I quite like. I did think about putting them up on the wall, and then my wife promptly said no to that.
Yeah, I
when you
went
say
for that.
when you say that, my idea would be just to show up with a drill. I'll just drill these mats into the wall. That will increase
I
the
was thinking
value.
more, those command strip things, but
Oh yeah, that sounds sensible.
And my local game store, Underworld Games, were very kind in gifting me a Benji poster,
Oh,
which is
wow,
absolutely
nice.
beautiful.
That's
So what are you
really
gonna do with
nice,
that?
yeah.
Are you gonna put that in the sleeve?
I need to go into sleep as well.
Thanks very much, boys. I appreciate your support.
No, it's cool. I like it. I like the poster.
Yeah, but wait, stick
But
it
I
on
like
the wall.
I think I like the look of what you're drinking a bit more. Simon, what are you having?
Oh, straight in this time.
Yeah. Well,
No, I don't know.
I'm drinking an Austrian style lager from a Danish brewery called Mikkeller, and it's called Iskold Classic.
Wow.
4.8%. It's a dark amber lager in the Austrian Bavarian style. It's very tasty.
So you ran out of your brew dog.
I've still got some. I'm just trying to switch it up so I don't sound a bit samey on the podcast.
Yeah, what is it now, Simon? It's a brew dog.
I'm more interested in hearing how Tripp has matched me again. He hasn't.
No, I go last. I can't go
Oh
second.
yeah, Tripp's the wild
Big
card.
sip Tripp.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy that plays. It's like a game of Uno. The pick a color and draw 4. You're like, oh man, I wasn't expecting this. This hasn't ruined my day because you might pick the color.
Come on
I
then,
want.
Hamish.
God,
What are you
am I on
drinking?
about? Boring. God, it's not even alcohol. How bad's that?
Alcohol-free beer.
Yeah, I'm drinking alcohol-free beer. It's a Heineken Blue. It's my favourite, actually, because as much as everyone thinks I'm a raging alcoholic, I'm not, right? I actually prefer to drink alcohol-free beer because as someone that works in a job that needs to be on it, and I've got 2 kids, I can't be smashed all the time, despite the fact that these last 4 episodes I've been trolleyed. I kill for my work, right? I kill for the work. But tonight it is a Heineken Blue because this one's going to be a fairly short one on in ways, but we'll go through it. We'll go through that later. But no, now we've got to find out. Come on, Tripp. The
Well,
wild card.
it's not too wild. It's actually pretty standard, but it's a very tasty beer. So I've gone for the Beavertown Neck Oil, which
I love that
is
stuff.
a delicious beer.
It's so good.
So it's not super exciting, but sometimes you just want something that tastes really good, and I recommend it to anyone that's not tried it. It's a very
A
tasty
very
beer.
sessionable beer.
Very nice on a hot summer's day, which it wasn't and probably won't be for another 2 weeks. But it was still pretty nice to have this evening. So yeah, that's what I'm
The
drinking. this evening.
Beavertown Gamma Ray is also very nice.
I had a Gamma Ray before the podcast. I actually got another one right here. So
Oh,
good,
Were
good.
they
very
on
good.
offer at Tesco's?
No, they weren't.
Oh,
So
Asda.
I paid full price for them.
Splashing the cash.
Yeah.
Here's a quick thing, right? I don't think no one's ever asked us this question before, but I imagine someone might have thought it, right? Do you guys go and find a beer for the episode, or do you have the stash just just hanging around?
Good question.
Yeah, I do. I actually go looking.
I do go out and buy something, but I don't buy it just for the podcast. Like I'll go out and buy a bunch of beers for like the week or something. When I know we're recording the podcast, I'll either get something in advance, or I'll go on the day but get stuff for the rest of the week as well. So I wouldn't just go out and buy like one beer just for the podcast. I'd buy like a few beers.
Yeah, I go out whenever I do my my shop, the family shop, and I know it's podcast recording week. I have a good old browse and go, what is it going to be? Although I didn't achieve it very well because I ended up with Heineken Blue. I was watching the Eurovision, and I thought I can't get steaming right, and then I brought way too much, and ended up just still got some left over. So yeah, Simon, what about you?
Mine's a bit of a mix. At the moment, as we've established already, I have a stash of Brewdog beers and a few others around the house, and I do just like to have a bit of a look and pick one that I think suits the evening.
Oh, okay. You did say in episode 1 that you brew your own.
I do.
I'm still waiting for that time for you to give us the what's it called? Is it the Big Mustache?
Are you trying to make up a brewery name for me?
The Big Mustache. That's a pretty cool one.
No,
because when you drink your beer, you get a beer mustache. The Big Mustache.
I see what you're doing there.
This doesn't work on
made that
podcast.
Okay, I'll try and bring one along for the next one. It's sitting in the garage. It's again.
Well, you're going to bring it to my house?
Am I coming to your house? No, I'm not coming to your house.
No, I meant you said I'm going to bring one along. I'm like, oh, how are you going to do this? Oh, you're going to bring one to the... All right, sorry. I thought I was going to get one.
I'll bring some to the next podcast. Although it is lethal. Like, you drink too much and you just can't see straight. It's great.
You'll have to bring some to an event in Northampton.
That's true. Yeah, maybe I could. Yeah.
And then we can all try some in the car park.
Moonshine.
Yeah, that is classy. I love it.
See, I can make that joke now because I've actually been to Manascrew, so I reckon I know where the car park is.
It's a classic car park, isn't it? I think I'm actually going to invest into getting some portable audio equipment, just so for the day that we can all meet up in an event one day, I can just slap that thing on a table, hit the record button, and all of us can just have a chat.
That'd be quite cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I couldn't promise the audio quality would be great, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, Simon, what are we doing today?
So today we're going to have a little bit of a chat, just briefly, about some in-person play that a few of us have managed to make our way along to. And then the main portion of today's podcast, we are super excited to announce that we've had an awesome interview with the one and only Matt Rogers, all the way from New Zealand. And as you might imagine, the interview ran a little bit longer than we normally run for an interview, and we thought the community needs to hear what Matt Rogers has to say. So it'll run a little bit longer than our normal interviews, but the podcast itself will be about the same length. So you get less of us, which is probably good for your ears.
Yeah, it's all gold.
Probably more less of Tripp, because it was me and Simon that did it, and I feel sad because Tripp's really good at interviews, and I just go blah blah blah.
Do you know what though? We still get the wonderful Dan Tripp and his law corner in Fyendal's library. So look forward to that.
Yeah.
You know what we really need to do first is we have hit.
Yeah, I forgot.
We have hit a subscriber milestone. This week we passed 75 subscribers.
Play the subscriber milestone sound effect.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Oh, that was perfect. That was amazing.
And so we passed 75 subscribers this week. And as per last week, episode 4, we have something to give away. So we have a Ray of Hope cold foil promo to give away. So I have up on my screen now a website called commentpicker.com/YouTube.
Oh my god, there's actually a thing. I was working out how the hell we're going to do this. I had a wheel all made up.
Yeah.
I was going to spin it. And
I can see it. There's a wheel behind him. Yeah, it looks amazing.
Damn, it's for added effects, right? So just pretend it's here, right? And I had a
I can see it.
Yeah, and I had a little
Wheel of Fortune style.
Give it a spin. Give it. Yeah, I heard it just there. The sound effect,
yeah, it's a closed peg.
This is the Foley special of the.
Yeah. I was going to spin it, and all of them were just my name. Funny enough, so I can keep the card.
No, we were not eligible for any prizes. Just before anyone kicks off.
No, we are not.
Yeah, just to be clear.
So I have just pressed the randomize button, and of all the comments, you might remember that we asked the community members to comment what they appreciate, and the winner of the Cold Foil pre-release promo Ray of Hope is Steelfur.
Oh my god, amazing!
Ooh, well done.
A regular of the UK Discord, Steelfur. Congratulations, my friend.
Yeah. And his comment was, I like the community because we get new people in almost at every event, and they really just get a great welcome. A number of people who have said they went into their first event, told their opponents, and got help in every game to feel good about the game.
Wow, that's really
Brilliant.
a good comment, actually. And just to say thank you to everyone that commented. I was reading through some of them. I was reading through most of them, actually. And it is if you're feeling down, just go through and read the comments on that video, because it's very positive.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It really brings you up.
Very positive.
Yeah, it's a really positive feeling. So congratulations, Steelfur. We will be doing more giveaways in future episodes as we increase our subscribers count. So
we set out our milestones. So we said if we get to 100, the next one is the Eclipse Existence Cold Foil promo, and 125 after that will be the Living Realms playmat.
Oh, that's a good one.
And we may well have a future episode with the guys from Living Realms. Look forward to that. And Hamish's favourite 169 subscribers, and we'll be giving away a Cold Foil Crazy Brew. So please do keep commenting on our episodes on YouTube. And you can tell us what you like about the community, what you love about the podcast, what got you into Flesh and Blood. Just give us something positive from your mind, and you'll be entered into the next giveaway at the next milestone.
I'm really happy that Steelfur said something that was great, because if his comment was, "This community bloody sucks," I would have been like, "Oh no, what have we done?" I'm joking.
We may have had to pick a different winner.
Oh, but yeah, I probably would have. If it was a good job you were dealing with it, because if it was me, it would have definitely just been entered in because of my careless lack of attention. I would have
We've got some pretty stringent T's and C's, as you may have noticed. We thought quite carefully.
Tripp, you're hot on that. I was dead impressed.
Lawyered.
Yeah, I copied it from another video.
That is a lawyer.
Hey,
that is a true lawyer.
Ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
So, Dan Tripp, please tell us about your weekend and your trip to Northampton and Manascrew for a sealed event.
So I got to go to my first ever in real life Flesh and Blood event. It was an amazing event. It was just, I walked into that LGS, and the second I walked in the door, Mark, who we did the interview with in the last episode, he just made me feel like I've been going to that store since for years. He just made me feel incredible.
He's just such a lovely guy, isn't he?
He just made me feel so welcome. Everyone in the store did, actually. All the other members of staff as well. It was absolutely fantastic, and it was just the strangest sensation, and it's probably a sensation that you probably won't feel at any other times in our life. Is I sat down in that room and I was just listening, and I could recognize voices. I could hear all the voices that I had heard over TTS and over webcam for the last 5-6 months, and I was just like, I know who you are. I've never met you before, but we've played Flesh and Blood however many times, because I can hear I've heard your voice before, and I know who you are already. And I just don't think you get that experience, like going into a place you've never been to before for the first time, and knowing people but not really knowing people. And it was absolutely fantastic. Had a great pod of 6 people, played some great games of Fab, had a semi-decent deck, didn't do particularly well, but got some good pulls out of the packs. But really it was just about meeting people that I've played against over the internet in real life, and it made it all feel very real. and that's what I was looking
And it
for.
turns out you were sat next to the family member of a podcast presenter. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, it was.
You sat next to my brother, didn't you?
Yeah, I was sat next to Ferg, and it was like, wait, I recognise that name. I've heard that name before. I know who I think it is, and it was great.
And he opened a Fabled as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
In a
and I was like,
Fantastic.
I should have got here 5 minutes earlier and taken that seat, and then I would have opened a Fable. I already got one, so I don't need any more.
And before we move on from the in real life play topic, I think we should probably mention the Skirmish Season 2 has just started, and a lot of UK stores who've been fortunate enough to be given a Skirmish event are trying to do those in real life. I know Mana Screw has one, I think, on the 13th of June, which they're doing in pods of 6 with sealed. However, there are a number of stores across the country that are waiting until the supposed relaxation of lockdown on the 21st of June. And I know Trinity Card Capital up in Gateshead is planning a sealed event on the 25th of June. Darksphere, Kingdom Gaming and Living Realms are planning their events on the 26th of June. And I know Underworld Gaming in Nottingham is planning their event, which may well be online now, on the 27th of June. So that's going to be a big weekend for in real life and skirmish play within the UK. And I really look forward to a little bit of a road trip and meet, as you've said already, Dan, meeting some of the people we've played with over the last 6 months, which is going to just be
amazing.
Such a surreal experience. On that note, on that bombshell,
let's do this interview.
I'm not sure how much introduction this man needs, really. However, Matt Rogers, reigning New Zealand national champion, who went 13-0 in his Road to Nationals and National Championship run, has taken the time to sit down with Hamish and myself and answer some questions. So without further ado, please welcome Matt Rogers. Why has your day been so crazy today? What have you been up to?
Just work and everything, and I haven't been playing much. I played a tournament last weekend, which I basically didn't test for at all, or barely did. And then I haven't played much. Well, I haven't played at all since then, and I'm just sort of just making it work bit by bit. But when the calling comes around, that's a few weeks away. I'm gonna have to sort of try to knuckle down and get a few more hours in before that. But yeah.
Was that the Dice Jar event?
Yeah. I played the Dice Jar event.
I watched that on the stream. That was pretty wild. It was quite cool, really, because there was a big. I had this big Well, there was. I chatted to this other chap called Tom Penny over in New Zealand.
Oh yeah. I know Tom. Tom well.
And me and him just throughout sort of like, random chit chat ideas. And then I was saying, I'm playing, Viscerai, and it's going to be terrible because I just get shut down by Bravo. And he's like, nah, Bravo's going to get crushed. But this was before the set actually come out. And then you actually watch that and you think, Christ, he seems to be doing all right.
Yeah, he's holding his own, eh? Bravo seems to he seems to have gotten some really good tools this set. So I think
it's nice to see. It's nice to see with the new set that actually, despite only limited cards coming out in generics, and actually some of the older heroes have got a bit of a boost where we weren't expecting it. And I think Bravo falls under that category, and maybe Rhinar as well looks a lot stronger now with some of the new brute cards. It's been really nice to see that actually the older sets haven't been completely like washed away with Chain and Prism.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bravo only got a couple of cards in this set, but they were very, very important for what giving the deck a whole nother strategy or a whole nother way to get there.
Hamish and I put some, and Dan Tripp, our co-presenter on our podcast, put some ideas out to the community, and we got them to feedback some questions they might want to ask. So thank you for taking the time to come and speak to us today.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to let Hamish get cracking on the first question.
This is a very odd sense of like how things work, right? Because usually I'm a massive rambler, and Simon is really, really organised. So usually he takes control over the pace of the podcast, right? And he's left this to me, so God help you all, right?
Oh, okay. Experimental, is it?
A little bit. I'm the guy that tends to edit all this stuff up, so I'm good at focusing on that. When I get talking, as you could probably tell, I'll just go with it. Anyway,
He gets a bit overexcited. Yeah.
Anyway, so Matt, question number 1 that was thrown up by the UK community.
All right, hit me. Yeah.
Go for it. Right. So, how do you feel the core New Zealand, or quote unquote the first adopters, are handling the game's explosive growth? From what we've seen, Monarch First Edition seems to be hard to get in New Zealand now. And how's that sort of weird turn of events been?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously New Zealand got everything at the start, right? And then there was this period when it started to roll out into the rest of the world, where there was plenty of it in New Zealand, and the rest of the world were really struggling to get it, because it was selling out straight away with distributors the second they got it. But we'd already been playing it for ages, and our stores were just gradually buying product, and so it was this thing where there was this product that was very easy to get in New Zealand and very hard to get anywhere else. And then they really flipped the script on us. They really tossed it around. And I mean, I think it was correct. I think, a company like LSS expanding internationally, it was correct to support the other markets a lot more. But yeah, it seems New Zealand got a little bit less product comparatively this time, and we had to scramble over it a bit more. But I think it's mostly fine. I think a number of the good stores in New Zealand kind of went out of their way to make sure everybody got product, So most of the stores just did a restriction, be it 1 box or 2 boxes or 1 case per person or whatever. And the majority of the players were still able to pick up at least a box each. At MSRP, right? So so it was still spread around people that have come from other card games, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, etc. You don't need 10 boxes, you don't need 10 booster boxes of a set, right? Like, obviously people want it because, some of these cards can be quite valuable and stuff, but as a player, you don't need that to be a player, right? So everybody getting, 1 or 2 or 4 boxes each or whatever was kind of enough that, people could trade with their mates and everybody could kind of, get things together from the new set of what they wanted. So I think it actually worked out quite well. But yeah, we just didn't really end up with any of the investors like America and whatnot, where there's a few people that have 20 cases in their basement or something like that. I don't think there was much of that in New Zealand at all, because the stores had to spread the load so far. So
got ya.
And they flipped the script again by then having no first edition land until after Unlimited.
Yeah,
so how has that gone down?
Our first edition's only just landed. So we have only, New Zealand's only just getting first edition now. So, which, to be honest, was kind of cool. Obviously it's really weird that Unlimited, that we have access to Unlimited before first edition, but we've got a calling coming up, which is sealed. And the nature of first edition, so many people want to keep their boxes sealed and stuff, and it's like a collect, something that they're going to put in a plastic box protector or whatever and hold for the next 20 years or something. And and really, when we're practicing for a sealed format calling, we want a lot of product open. We want to play a lot of things and stuff. And so many of the stores had pre-sold, almost every store had pre-sold out on first edition. So if we just had first edition, I think it would have been very hard for us to get drafts going and sealed and whatnot and really test for the calling. But because Unlimited came earlier, all of the stores were able to run drafts and sealeds and all of that sort of stuff. So we actually got to really test the format and start figuring it out.
So I guess one of the weird things is that since you guys have been through this process, do you think that having Unlimited come out first, or having this, because I think you hear this all the time on Facebook, where people go, first edition and Unlimited should come out at the same time, and people are like, nah, it's only 3 weeks, get a grip, blah, 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 blah. But for you, it's actually been like, this is the way it's gone. Do you think that it should be like that going forward, or first edition first, or the old way, I suppose?
I think this way actually has the most positives. I think first edition unlimited before first edition is really weird.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately, like if you had them coming out on the same day at the same time, and the collectors and people that really want cold foils and stuff, they could splash out on first edition, and everybody else that just wanted things to play, they could get unlimited, and then product would be available for whatever you wanted at whatever price you were prepared to pay or whatever. I think that's utopia, right? I think
Yeah.
going forward, if every set could release them both on the same day, I think that's the absolute optimal situation for kind of how things have played out with first edition pricing and exclusivity and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, mine follows on, and with the growth of the game so far that we've seen and we've talked about there, how do you feel that Legend Story Studios need to expand and support organized play globally? I mean, obviously they've got the callings coming, and they've now released the pathway.
Yeah.
Is there anything you think they haven't mentioned, or they've got tucked up their sleeve, maybe some inklings that you have about how they're going to grow and support this OP pathway?
Yeah, well, I think the pathway. The cool thing about the pathway is just transparently everything on the table. Like this is everything. This is this is the road. This is what this top tier is what you're eventually aiming for. This is the way to kind of get there. This is the ladder. Like I think their intention is not to do a whole lot of other things. I think their intention is, maybe some stores like Channel Firewall will do some big kind of expo style events and stuff like that, and other gaming stores will have their own, I don't know, store championships or whatever they want to do, or this and that. But I think for the main part of OP, I think that pathway, what they're doing is kind of what we're expecting. I don't think that they're going to put that out there and say this is our focus, and then all of a sudden have all these other things going on as well. And realistically, I don't think that pathway includes a lot of events. You know what I mean? Like these skirmish seasons are going to run like 3 or 4 seasons a year, and then there's going to be Road to Nationals as well, and then there's going to be the Pro Tour qualifiers or whatever. There's going to be those as well, and then there's going to be all these high level events. Like I can, from this, I can see that your local gaming store, through skirmish and Road to Nationals and everything like that, is going to be putting on a large scale flesh and blood event every 3 or 4 weeks, so throughout the entire year there's enough events to cover that. So if you start doing more than that, it just becomes saturation, like I mean, like how much time do people really have to play? Like playing your local armory every week, one day is people can set a day aside for that, and then a bigger event every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, that's achievable. Once there's big events every single week, you are just going to kind of split up the player base to the different formats, and you're going to oversaturate things, and you're going to make it very hard for some people. So I think I think what they've put out there is perfect.
Nice.
And I think we've already mentioned briefly, like we're all busy people. We've all got lives outside of gaming and hobbies. I think what's good about the pathway that I've seen is, as you've mentioned, they've got the local armory events, and then the Road to Nats, or regionals, skirmish, and then Road to Nats. You've been through that. I don't think anywhere outside of the APAC region has been through those sort of progressions yet. Yeah. How do you think the rest of the world is going to cope with those progressions?
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think like it makes it very, very clear and very easy. Like no matter where you position yourself, if you're like, okay, well, I'm somebody who's gotten into this game. I love this game. I love the flavor. I love the gameplay or whatever. But I don't want to I don't want to be playing Pro Tours. That's not for me. I find it really intimidating in these big events or whatever. Like if that's the person you are, then you're like, well, the skirmish thing is perfect for me. You know what I mean? And Road to Nationals, that's all along that Nationals competitive stuff. That's not what I want to get into. So I'll just stick to the Armory and Skirmish. Cool, perfect. And then for the aspiring player that's like, I want to get to a Pro Tour one day, imagine playing in national championships, For them, it's like, well, I can try to get really good at these skirmish events and try to be top 80 in these events. I can have my goal as top 80 in these skirmish events and then playing these road to nationals and trying to qualify for nationals, right? And then for your, uber competitive, I'm going to make a semi lifestyle out of this. I'm going to play pro tours and I want to qualify for world championships,
I'm looking at you, Simon.
There you go. Yeah. And for those
players, one day
it's very clear exactly, they can sort of be like, well, if I'm going to a skirmish event, I should be kind of expecting or kind of challenging myself to make sure I'm top 8 in these road to nationals events. I should be, kind of aiming for this, and then nationals, if I want to qualify for worlds, I need to be doing this good at each of these different stages. So I think it really makes a very kind of clear goal path for people.
And just a quick one before we move on to the next question. Do you think online play survives, or competitive online play survives after COVID, or do you think it's pretty much
I think it can survive, but I think the focus is always going to be on in-person play once we're able to do that. I mean, this is a game that is built to bring people together in the flesh and blood, right? Like in-person play in this game. I mean, most of my friends in life I've met through in-person play of games, right? Like in-person play, like there's just no comparison. Like there's just no comparison to online stuff when you get to do a weekend event with your mates and stuff like that. So I do think, I know that the company really wants to focus on in-person play, and that was always their goal. And they sort of said from the start that, they weren't looking to ever do online competitive or build a platform for that or anything like that. That did not gel with the ethos and the goals of the company, right? So I do think the focus is always going to be on in-person play, but there's definitely online events and competitive, that sort of thing, and organized events like that can absolutely be a side niche that still works and is still popular. I think that it will survive. I don't think it'll die, but I think it's going to be it's going to be much smaller in comparison to the in-person stuff.
Yeah, I was just chatting to this a couple of times with a couple of guys in the UK community. I think the only online one that I saw that was relatively quite exciting was the one that you took part in, Simon, with the team events, where it was these opportunities where you can actually go, hey, it's going to be 5 of us of a team of 5 UK guys versus a team of 5 US guys. You couldn't really whip up something like that in any other way apart from a Worlds,
it was really
right?
good fun.
Yeah.
And then that was Red Riot Games, who obviously you played in their constructed event a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I heard you.
They've
you
come
said,
up with some really good ideas.
Whoever wins that will play New Zealand, which are obviously the finalists. You know what I mean? If you can beat the New Zealand dudes, I saw that. I was like, oh, slam down, challenge accepted. Although we probably don't stand a chance. It's like Italy versus the All Blacks in rugby. Give it a go, I suppose.
There's a comparison I like. I'll take that.
Anyway, so we're going to move on just for a little break, and here's a little clip from Dan Tripp from the Fyendal's Library. Enjoy.
The Librarian of the Library of Illumination, Magister of the City of Solana, Keeper of Knowledge and Keeper of a Place of Learning. The Library of Illumination is in the heart of the city, high above all other buildings nearby. Standing there in the middle of the City of Light, a testament to what their city stands for, knowledge. A strange thing, perhaps, for a city drenched in faith and theology. Mindlessly worshipping the power of a creature of light, an old one, perhaps, who meddles in their lives, choosing their professions, setting their lives on a certain course. For while some old ones are as impersonal and inhuman as nature, others are drawn to the fleeting nature of human life, meddling in the affairs of mankind without reserve. Imagine knowing at the age of 8 that the rest of your life was laid out, that your profession in life was not something that you would choose, but that would be laid down and dictated to you by the light of song.
So, question 3. We're going to move this on a little bit from organized play side sort of things. We're going to actually pick your brain as a very, very, very good player. So one of the questions is, Fab seems to be quite a tempo-focused game, but what do you see the most viable control-orientated deck in the game? Which is something I want to know as well, because it is quite tricky to think about a control deck when everything is all about attacking, right? You know, aggro is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, the thing is, how people need to sort of think about control in this game is it's very different to how control operates in other games, because you're not like, in order to properly because the power cards are so powerful, right? In comparison to what cards can block for, and the fact that decks have to play a combination of block 2s and block 3s. You know, your average block value is 2.x, right? And the power cards are quite a bit more than double that. So basically, the way that you have to sort of think about control in this game is you have to find a way to get through all of their power cards. And so you have to kind of pick and choose your battles against, you know, like if you're just going to block for forever, like just purely statistically on the fact that your average block is 2.x and their power cards are worth more than double that or whatever, they're going to eke out advantage throughout the game and beat you. So it's very hard for a pure control deck like we've seen in other games to exist here. So control really does need to be a little bit more mid-range focused, and a way that you can pressure your opponent to block with some of the more powerful cards so that you don't have to block those cards. So yeah, it's exactly as you're saying, like it is very tempo based and you're not going to get away from that. Like the control decks, you're not going to, I just don't think the game is developed in a way, that control decks like what we might have seen in Magic the Gathering, for example, are really ever going to, be the best deck. You know, control decks in Magic were traditionally quite weak, especially in Legacy, were traditionally quite weak to like Delver decks, right? Tempo-based decks. So it's I think it's very hard when everything is quite tempo-based to go hard control, but there's definitely going to be mid-range control variant styles that work, much like what I was playing last season, Nationals, etc., where I played a dash deck that was very much a mid-range control style dash deck. It was set up, play a lot of defense reactions, and ultimately try to control the pace of the game, and then kind of turn the tide and turn the tempo and pivot across and change the pace of the game when, at the right times that I needed to.
I was just going to ask something for a newer player that is jumping in. Could you just explain what the terminology of mid-range means?
So mid-range basically is that you can your deck is not built to be very, very fast and very aggressive or very slow and very sit back and block. Your deck is built to be able to chop and change between those roles, and kind of do everything all right rather than do one thing exceptionally well. You're trying to do a lot of different things, kind of medium.
Yeah, got you.
Middle of the road, Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good.
As you alluded to, I think it gives you that ability to pivot and play 2 or 3 different styles within the same game sometimes.
Exactly. Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, with the dash deck, which may not be as viable in the new meta, but
No.
that ability to play 2 or 3 different games within a game, it provides something for the opponent to think about, definitely.
Yeah, and I mean that in itself is definitely still viable, right? Like, these dash control decks, dash mid-range style decks that I used to play a lot are probably not viable anymore. There's just too many good ways to attack them. But if you have a look at that Dice Jar Games event, for example, the finals, that Prism deck and that Bravo deck both were very much along that lines, in that they were able to pivot and play different game plans throughout the game. And you'll see in the Swiss rounds, where those two players played, Dan with his Prism deck, he killed Kale like 34-0 or something. Like, it was an absolute smashing, right? And that game, if you watch the two games, that game versus the final game where Kale actually won, were just, it's like they weren't even playing the same game. It's one person was playing Snakes and Ladders, the other Monopoly. Like, it just it was so different from how the game went in the Swiss. And I think that style of playing, that style of gameplay is definitely not going away. That style of mid-range, being able to change your game plan, change how how you attack a certain strategy, and have that sort of mid-rangey control stuff going on is still very much in this game, and it's going to happen a lot.
So I think that's a really good lead into our next question, which is, when thinking about competitive play, what do you feel is the better approach? Do you rather stick to the same hero and play style and master it, or do you switch to the new sort of hot character and learn that new style? Like, what's your preference?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on how much time you have, really. I think if you're limited on time, then honestly, the best thing you can possibly do is just play the same hero over and over and over and over and over. Because the strategies in this game are just so incredibly deep. I find myself like 50 games into a hero still learning new stuff about that deck. Like, if I've played a deck, after literally 50 games later, I'm still learning things about that deck and different ways to play it, and different strategies and niche spots, etc. So it's just, every single hero is so ridiculously deep that you can just get so much better with that than you're ever going to get by playing like 10 different heroes, 10 games each. You know what I mean? So but yeah, if you have the time, metagaming is absolutely a thing as well, right? So if you have the ability to chop and change the heroes that you're playing and attack a metagame in the specific way that you think people are coming to that tournament, or what people are doing at that time, it's like any other game. Like, everything does have a weakness. There are different ways to attack metagames. So if you have the time to put into learning multiple different heroes or whatever, then that's fantastic as well. But being able to chop and change. But I think it comes down to how much you can really put into this game.
Do you think there's certain heroes that are a little bit more adaptable to being a bit more? Like, for example, like you see Kale McCreef, right? He's a New Zealand player, absolutely fantastic Bravo player, right? Yeah. But he knows that character inside out. And it gave me a bit of inspiration to go, well, he's so good with this character, I should just stick with the one that I really like and really get to know it. And then a question 100%. Pops into my head of, but is Bravo just a little bit more adaptable than Viserai, for example? Does Bravo have just a few more answers to actually change things up, and Viserai's kind of just got less tricks up his sleeve to roll with?
Yeah, you're 100% correct on that. Like, Bravo definitely has a lot of ability to kind of chop and change, and if Kale plays Bravo just consistently, right? But if you look at his deck list from each of the events, they're almost always, I don't think I've ever seen Kale play the exact same list in two events. They're always a little bit different. He's always kind of chopping and changing. Bravo is that mid-range style deck that gets to kind of, that can quite easily change what it's doing, because it's the sort of deck that can block a lot. It can, just try to go really tall with a thing. It can do a lot, it can kind of change its game plan throughout the game. Whereas a hero like Viserai is much more all in that it just needs to build up this massive of rune chance, or this, pretty much that's it, and then just all unleash them on the opponent, right? So it's there's different heroes are definitely a lot more all in.
Got ya. Okay, that's
now,
good to know.
Here in the UK, we have been obviously mostly exposed to Blitz so far, and the big skirmish season that's just been, and the new skirmish season that's just starting. But with events like the Callings and the Pro Tours, I think CC is going to be a lot more prevalent. Like, have you got any tips for UK players that are trying to adapt from the Blitz to the constructed classic mindset?
Yeah, I guess what you know with Blitz, the only sideboarding decisions that you're making is with equipment, right? And in Classic Constructed, you get you effectively get a whole sideboard to play with. So when you're switching over to Classic Constructed, you have to think that the few things that you have to consider is the matchups that you find hard in Blitz, the sort of the strategies that beat you in Blitz. What are those strategies weak to, and how can I attack them if I had options to other cards, right? That I don't have to play it, that are very niche sort of specific cards or whatever that I don't have to play in other matchups. So that's one of the things. And then the other thing that you have to really consider is that games go a lot longer. The difference between 20 life and 40 life is massive when everything's about eking out little bits of 1, 2, 3, etc. life here and there. So the difference in terms of how long the game's going to go is quite a big difference. So you do need to prepare yourself for that. So I think the most important things to think about is, how do I beat my bad matchups, and does my deck, I can't. People have to realize in Blitz, you can go in with one strategy and just do that strategy because the game's over in 5 turns, right? You can't it's much harder to do that in Classic Constructed because they can just block you. And then, it's much harder to stay on one specific strategy trying to do one thing, because your opponent's going to be able to put you in positions where you just can't do that, and you'll have to change your opponent's going to change the tempo of the game on you a few times because there's 40 life at stake. So you just have to be able to maneuver a little bit more. So you need to build your deck for the long game. You need to build your deck for different stages of the game and to be able to maneuver a little bit.
Great, thank you.
It sounds like it's a game for the big boys.
Well, I mean, it absolutely is. I think that's how they designed it, right? It's checkers and chess, right? So, Classic Constructed is going to be the format for Nationals, for Road to Nationals, for Worlds, but Blitz is the format for Skirmish. So, Skirmish is more this entry level, Road to Nats, Pro Quest, Pro Tours, etc. are more this, like, I want to be the best level,
It's levels on levels. I love it. There's the levels within Blitz, the levels within CC, and then the progression between the two.
It's a very deep game. It's a ridiculously deep game.
Matt, I can't possibly sit here, right, and have you sitting with us without asking the question about these new Monarch heroes and how you feel that they shake up the meta massively. Is Dorinthia still going to be the queen of CC?
Yeah, so CC was very dominated by Dorinthia and Dash. Those were kind of the two decks. Realistically, nothing could really compete with the perfectly refined list. Once people refined the list and kind of optimized everything, those two decks absolutely smashed the rest of the field. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I think Bravo got some great tools to fight back, whereas he was struggling a lot before. And Dash, they made everything beat Dash. Dash really can't handle all of the massive amounts of go wide and rune damage and all the different things that Rune Blade's bringing now. I just can't see Dash being able to stay enough ahead on enough life to be able to set up for all of that's going on. And then also when you've got a deck like Prism, who is punishing you for not playing big attack actions, which Dash doesn't want to do, right? That's not the style of deck it is at all. So they get massively punished by Prism as well. And then Dash was a little bit weak to when Brute did kind of biggish, quite consistent sort of stuff. Consistently was able to play quite a few big things. Well, Shadow Brute does that every turn now. So,
right.
I think they literally just made an entire format that beats Dash. So I don't think we're going to see Dash at the top tables anymore, and I think Dorinthia is going to specifically struggle too because they gave Bravo some really good tools. I think Dorinthia used to struggle against Bravo the most, but over time kind of overcame that matchup and made it sort of a 55-45 sort of thing. Or around 50-50 or whatever. Well, now what Dorinthia, even though there was Warrior Hero in the set, Dorinthia didn't really get any new tools at all.
No.
Whereas Bravo got some new tools that were specifically quite good against Dorinthia and the way that matchup tries to play as well. So I think that's really shifted the matchup. Like, I think that Bravo should win that matchup more than 60% of the time now. So I think Dorinthia is going to really struggle on that front. And then also Prism, I do not see how Dorinthia stays ahead of Prism. The fact that they are punishing you for playing your whole deck is reaction and weapon focused, and their attacks punish you for not playing attacks, right? And then they also get to make these spectral shield tokens which prevent you from hitting, and your whole deck's on hit effect, right? Your whole deck is really good at just getting over their block, right? So when the opponent blocks for 8 or whatever, your deck's very good at just getting to 9. Well, if they have a spectral shield token in play, well, you're not going to hit anymore, so you're not going to get go again, all of the on hit effects, etc. So I think that Warrior is going to really, really struggle against Prison, and it's now going to struggle against Bravo, which I think are going to be two of the top decks. So I think, this last format completely revolved around 2 specific heroes, and now both those heroes are almost dead.
Oh wow!
like in competitive, and I'm talking specifically for Classic Constructed, not as much Blitz.
No, sure. What about what about the go? I kept thinking this was going to be a big go wide meta, so I generally put my money onto Chain and Katsu at this point. So they seem to be, I don't know. I mean, what's your thoughts on the go wide side?
Well, I think So I mean, I was thinking that as well when I was watching spoiler season, and they spoiled like a lot of the chain cards and a lot of this sort of stuff, and I was thinking, man, this is super go wide. Like, everything's going to be just kind of in your face, whack 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 whack. But then they started to spoil prison cards, and then Warrior got Bravo, sorry, got a couple of tools at the end there as well. And I think Prism is very well designed to keep that sort of format in check. The mix of one big attack plus like lots of little things that also can like block and soak up damage, that can kind of prevent things like on hit effects and rune and arcane damage that turns on other things or whatever, so you can keep going wider. Like, the fact that spectral tokens specifically stop all of these things makes me think that Prism's going to balance the format out really well and stop that from happening. Stop this crazy go wide, play 10 cards a turn sort of thing from. I think it's going to keep that under control.
Fantastic. And what about Levia? Where do you think she sits into things? Unfortunately, she's got Rhino, right, to compete with in terms of the brute side of things.
Yeah, but I mean, I haven't spent a lot of time on Levia yet. I haven't really looked too deep, but she does seem quite interesting and quite powerful and chaotic as well. So definitely that's the type of deck that could kind of mix things up and stop these decks like Bravo and Prism from kind of controlling the whole format, right? Like, these decks, Bravo and Prism, are both somewhat mid-range centric, in which they try to control the pace of the game, and it's very hard to control Levia because she's chaotic. She's that like, and Rhinar as well.
If we thought Rhinar was random number generator, like Levia gets another level of chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I think these two brute heroes are going to do a really good job of stopping these mid-range control style decks from controlling the outcomes of every game.
And it's so early in the set life so far. Like, there's so much more testing to be
Oh,
done
yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
Isn't it?
Oh
It'd be
yeah,
unfair to
massively,
make snap
massively.
judgments.
I don't think there hasn't been a really big constructed event yet. There hasn't been
Yeah.
a call-in or a nationals or anything like that. So the top players in the game haven't really knuckled down and tried to figure stuff out yet.
So we are very aware that you need to get some sleep. It would be unfair of us to let you go without asking you about this amazing charity tournament that you've been organising, and we've already spoken about Kale, but just tell us a bit more about this event that you're putting together.
Yeah, so this event is a big online charity drive event. It's all to support the Cancer Society. So this event was kind of inspired and started up because of a tough year that Kale had with his father battling cancer and passing away to it. So it was kind of a couple of us, myself and Nick Butcher and some people kind of coming together and saying, like cancer affects everybody that we know. Everybody has to deal with some negativity of it in life, and we really just want to come together and do something, just some sort of grassroots effort, some sort of way to kind of stand up right against it. So so we sort of talked about putting on Flesh and Blood has an amazing community. We sort of thought, well, if we put on an event and we put on a bit of a drive, I think some people are going to get behind that, right? Like I think that this is important to enough people, and we can actually do something here that people want to get involved in, and I've been blown away by the response. So we've
I was going to say, I think that's an understatement.
Oh yeah, it's just feels like one of the most incredible things I've ever been involved in. It's hard. It's hard to even explain the kind of emotional effect of this. But yeah, basically it's a big tournament where we're bringing together everybody in the world. We're going to be playing it online over tabletop simulator and webcam. And it's an event where people can sign up, and then peering is given every 48 hours, right? So it's not like you have to jump into this event and just slog out for a day or anything like that. Like this event is going to run over multiple weeks. We're going to give extra time on days where there's call-ins and really big events and stuff. Yeah. And like everybody's going to be given 48 hours to arrange a game with their opponent and then report the result. And then the entire time, we've got just about every Flesh and Blood content creator in the world kind of on board helping us that are going to help us to kind of make a really big deal out of this. So like a lot of the matches are going to be recorded. There's going to be commentators. There's going to be streamed this and that, and we're going to have a lot of fun with everything. So it's going to be a large scale, everybody get together, part of this community, and let's really do something. But yeah, since putting this event on, the event starts next week, so it's US time Monday. Not sure the exact time, but I'm sure you guys will provide a link or something where people can find some information. Yeah. Thank you. So Monday, sometime in the US, and then also we're as part of the drive we've been doing a lot of other things as well. So we set up a GoFundMe which lots of generous people donated to, and then we started doing some auctions. People donated us, a lot of people got in touch with us and said, look, I really want to support this event, but I mean, I don't have a whole lot of money, but I've got these kind of special Flesh and Blood items that I acquired somehow that are worth a lot of money and can probably really help you. So a lot of people started donating these things to our drive, and as part of the drive, we were doing these charity auctions. So we auctioned off a lot of these donated gifts, and it's just incredible. One of them raised 10,000 New Zealand dollars, which is
that's nuts. That's so cool.
Yeah, like it's just incredible. Which is I think that's about 6,800 USD or something like that. And then between all of these auctions, between the entry fees, between the GoFundMe, I think we're getting close to about 40,000 New Zealand dollars now.
Oh, wow.
It's just just incredible. I was talking to a lady from the Cancer Society the other day, and when I first wanted to do this and I brought this to her and stuff, I said, look, we're going to try to raise like 5, maybe even 10 grand. And she's like, wow, if you can raise 10 grand, we're going to get the president to come and accept the check, like this, the president of the Cancer Society to come and accept the check, and we'll get some media coverage. This would be incredible. And then, I was talking to her the other day, and I'm like, well, we're past 30. And she was just off her feet. It was just unbelievable.
You're going to be stood there with the big check. Yeah.
Oh man, that is wild.
So it's really cool. Really,
Come on,
really
we've got to get the. Is it New Zealand president or is it prime minister? It's prime minister, isn't it?
Prime minister.
Prime minister. We've got to get her down.
Seen Ardenne. Yeah.
Yeah. I
She's a
feel
great
like
lady.
if we get to 50, she's got to come for that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
I just think it's a testament to the
Jacinda.
community, right? The testament to just an amazing community spirit within the game, and for all those people that say, or it's just collectors, or it's just investors, and people aren't playing the game enough. It's like, one, these events are huge.
Oh yeah,
and
massive.
two, just look at the amount of good we're doing already as a community and raising money for a massive charity. It's awesome to see.
This is just one of the many, many charities that have had drives in this community from this game. Saint was telling me about other ones that he'd supported and gotten involved with and stuff that I hadn't even heard of. There's quite a lot that's been going on, and this is just an incredible community. I mean, people that say that nobody plays the game are just clueless. Like I had an event at my store, a local gaming store that got 157 people. I can't
nuts.
tell you I've ever had a Magic event with half that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And the calling that's on in a couple of weeks, that sold out at 250 tickets. Like there are a lot of people that play this game.
The interesting thing to see will be when the first US national event goes live and how many people turn up to the first big US event. Because they've had a couple of callings there pre-COVID, but now the game's really taken off. I wouldn't be surprised to see 300 plus people turn up easily.
Oh, easily. I mean, the callings that they did were before, that it was kind of before that even really launched the game into the US. No distributors had it back then, so most of the gaming stores were not even able to get product. So it was more of a somewhat learn to play sort of style. They were called callings and they had huge prizes and stuff like that, but it was more, we're going to do these events in the US and people are going to come along and check out what this game's all about. You know what I mean? So, judging the numbers on that is silly. But yeah, I think nowadays, you put a calling on in the US, you're going to get 500 people to it, I think.
Oh,
it's going to be incredible to see.
Just hearing all this is it's buzzing, man. You can't help but just not get excited.
This game is very, very addictive. Just our local events for, I've been in this industry for years and running local gaming stores, and there's plenty of games where I've really struggled to get the eight people that you kind of want to a local event each week. And even with Magic, the kind of even the heydays and when things were going really well, we were getting 20 or so people to an event, to Friday Night Magic or whatever. I mean, Flesh and Blood, in Auckland, we have 8 events a week between the gaming stores.
That's crazy.
And heaps of that, like multiple of these events hit 30 plus people every single week. The amount of play that goes on is just incredible. It's so addictive.
We have taken up far much more time of your time than this has been really fun. I've enjoyed this. This is
good. These are the sort of interviews that are a lot more enjoyable.
Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you for joining us.
No, thanks for inviting me in, guys. Thank you so much, and thanks for mentioning my charity drive and letting me kind of waffle on about a couple of things. But no, I really appreciate it. I think it's really cool that that I got to do this with you two.
Oh no.
Thank you so much. The UK community will appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll see you guys soon. One day when I can get out there, I'm going
next year at Worlds.
Have you been to the UK before?
Exactly.
I was born in the UK.
Oh, were you?
I was. Yeah. I was.
He's an expat.
I was born in Bristol, so.
So when did you move over? How long have you been in New Zealand?
I moved over when I was like 6, so I've been here for 25 years now. So I definitely don't have the accent anymore.
No.
No, that's it.
Anyway, right. We'll leave it here. Cheers.
We'll let you go and get some sleep, Matt. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Do you know what? I came out of that interview just having had such an awesome time. You can just hear throughout that the passion he has for the game and for his businesses within the gaming industry. And it was just a pleasure to chat with him for an hour. We didn't actually realise how long we'd gone for until the end. It absolutely flew. So again, a big thank you to Matt Rogers for taking the time to sit down with us. I think Hamish and myself both agree, had an absolute blast and got some real interesting tidbits of knowledge there.
Yeah, I walked away from that I just straight up went on FabDB and was like, I need to make some decks, man. This guy's inspired me like more to. It just hypes things up just by just saying how things work, and you're like, oh my god, yes, I need to put in 3 of these instead of 2. You're right. No, it was nuts. Absolutely awesome. So yeah, give us. I tell you what. For the what do we want the community? What do we want to ask the community to comment over this time round? I know that they're going to throw in.
I want them to tell us what they thought of the interview. I want you to say, was there anything in that surprised you? Was there anything that you thought we should have asked that we didn't? I think it'd be really good to hear what you think about that interview in particular, and just let us know what you thought.
As well as the usual stuff about the community, for the entry prizes for the 100 sub giveaway. Still just keep locking in with your why the community is great and all that sort of stuff. I know it's going to probably be a little bit like, oh well, I said it on the last one, but hey, keep throwing in. It'll get you locked into the 100 subs and throw it out there, man. If we get 100 subs, you're locked in for the next prizes. So just keep them coming.
And you know what? On the topic of community positivity. As Matt spoke about there, the upcoming charity tournament, long-form charity tournament that's starting on Monday, upcoming Monday, the 31st.
Is it the 31st? Yeah, Monday the 31st of May.
Monday the 31st of May. Charity tournament. If you haven't already, there's a link in our description here for that. Go and join, play some more Fab, and just enjoy and know that every entry fee is going towards a good cause.
And even if you haven't got the time to join in, I'm sure there's going to be like a donation pot that you can throw in. And as you probably heard, that people have been throwing in cold foils as well as just as a token way of use it, so they can use that to auction. Just chip in, man. Just like you say, cancer affects quite a lot of people. It's affected me. I'm sure it's someone has been affected by it. So let's all throw in, man, and do this. It's awesome.
Yeah, it totally has. And I think that there definitely is a way to donate. I can't play on the event on Monday. I think it's on Monday. I'm going to a different event. But I've still donated, and I encourage everyone to donate. And don't feel like if you just want to go in and donate a $5, please do. It actually does make a big difference. Like the money, and I'll be honest with you, I work for a health foundation, and the health charities that are reliant on financial donations have been absolutely hammered during lockdown because their capacity for fundraising events has gone down hugely, and they are very desperate for donations. So don't just think, oh, it's a big charity. They're fine. They really are struggling, and all that money that you donate is going towards funding researchers, is going towards funding scientists who work on making cancer a more manageable disease, and so please do consider donating. It really does make a huge difference, so please consider.
Cool. Right, well, I think we should end it on there.
Yeah, let's go next time. See you for episode 6, everyone.
6.
Bye.
Bye.